In a secret garage, one of the world's richest men keeps a ghost, a 1965 Shelby Cobra, one of only two like it ever made. But that's just the gatekeeper. Rob Walton, heir to the Walmart fortune, has a private car museum so valuable it rivals the GDP of a small nation. We're not just talking about rare cars, we're talking about automotive legends, machines so priceless they're rarely seen outside a vault. And we've got the key. Stick around as we unlock the doors to a collection built on an unimaginable fortune and reveal the one vintage Ferrari that is the undisputed crown jewel. This humble beginning is the start of the Walton family story. It's a story that doesn't just involve a little bit of money, it involves a mountain of it. A mountain so high it's hard to even imagine. We're talking about a fortune estimated to be as much as $432 billion. That's more money than some countries have. This isn't just wealth, it's an empire. And every empire has its secrets, its castles, and its kings and queens. Sam Walton opened his first true Walmart store in Rogers, Arkansas in 1962. He and his wife, Helen, raised 4 children: Rob, John, Jim, and Alice. They lived a comfortable life, but nothing like the super rich families you might see in movies. Sam taught his kids the value of hard work. I mean, he didn't just hand them a fortune, he made them understand where it came from. But how did it get so big? As Walmart grew from one small store to thousands all over the world, the family's small fortune grew into a flood of cash that would change their lives and America forever. And as you're about to see, when you have that much money, the things you can do are beyond most people's wildest dreams. But their wealth isn't just for enjoying life. It's also for preparing for the end of it, in a way you could never imagine. Here's where the story takes a wild turn. After the terrible events of September 11th, many people felt a little less safe. The Waltons, however, took that feeling to a whole new level. It's been reported that deep in their home territory of Bentonville, Arkansas, they built something straight out of a spy movie. They built a top-secret, luxurious underground facility. Some people call it a bunker, but that word doesn't do it justice. Think of a 5-star hotel buried deep in the earth, designed to keep the family safe from literally any disaster you could think of. This isn't just a basement with some canned goods. We're talking about a massive complex with its own power, water, and satellite communications to stay connected with the outside world. It is said to have a heliport for quick escapes and a dedicated security team that guards it around the clock. What could possibly be inside? The details are secret, but you can bet it's more than just functional. When you're a Walton, you don't just survive, you survive in style. Imagine rooms decorated with priceless art, a chef's kitchen, and maybe even a movie theater. This isn't just about safety, it's about preserving their way of life no matter what happens in the world above. It's a symbol of unimaginable power. The power to build your own private world. A fortress to protect your family and your fortune from anything and everything. But this incredible structure is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Waltons' luxuries. If you find stories about this level of wealth and secrecy fascinating, do us a favor and hit that like button to let us know. While one part of the family prepared for a potential apocalypse, another was busy building a cultural monument that would rival those in the biggest cities in the world. Now, let's talk about Alice Walton, the only daughter of Sam Walton. While her brothers were focused on the business side of the empire, Alice had a different passion, a passion for art. But when you're a Walton, you don't just buy a few pretty paintings, you build a world-class museum in the middle of Arkansas. It's called the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, and it is nothing short of spectacular. Opened in 2011, this museum is a gift to the public. But it's also a testament to Alice's incredible wealth and influence. The museum's endowment, a fund to keep it running forever, is valued at over $1.4 billion. That's more than many museums in huge cities like New York or Chicago have. Alice has filled it with some of the most famous American paintings ever created. She bought Norman Rockwell's iconic Rosie the Riveter for nearly $5 million. She also purchased a famous painting called Kindred Spirits by Asher B. Durand for a mind-boggling $35 million. She even has works by the famous pop artist Andy Warhol. Believe it or not, she has spent hundreds of millions of dollars of her own money on art. For Alice, it's about more than just collecting. She wanted to bring world-class art to a place that didn't have it. She built this museum in her hometown of Bentonville. Some people in the art world were surprised. Why build such an incredible museum in a small town? But Alice knew what she was doing. She was creating a legacy. She was showing the world that the Waltons weren't just business people. They were shaping American culture. But her quest for art also reveals something fascinating about the limits of even her great power. But while some treasures remained out of reach, there was one American institution with a price tag so high, only a family like the Waltons could afford to claim it. If you think art and bunkers are impressive, hold on to your hats, because the Waltons have also conquered the world of professional sports. In 2022, Rob Walton, Sam's eldest son, led a group to buy the Denver Broncos, an NFL team. The price tag was a staggering $4.65 billion. It was the most expensive sale of a sports team in history. Let that sink in. Nearly $5 billion for a football team. For the Waltons, this was more than just a purchase. It was a statement. It showed that their influence reached far beyond the world of retail. They were now major players in America's biggest sport. Rob's daughter Carrie and her husband Greg are now the public faces of the team's ownership. They are at the games making decisions and steering the future of a beloved franchise. But the family's sports empire doesn't stop there. Ann Walton Kroenke, one of Sam's nieces, is married to a man named Stan Kroenke, and Stan is a sports mogul in his own right. Through him, the family is connected to the ownership of 7 professional sports teams. This includes the Los Angeles Rams of the NFL, who won the Super Bowl, and even the famous English soccer team Arsenal. They have their hands in football, basketball, hockey, and soccer. It's an unbelievable collection of sports power. When you control a sports team, you control more than just a business. You control a piece of a city's heart. You're part of a community's identity. The Waltons understand this. By buying into the world of sports, they've bought into the hearts and minds of millions of fans. It's another brilliant move in their long game of influence. It's pretty wild, isn't it? If you're enjoying this deep dive, consider subscribing so you don't miss our next story. And the engine that powers this long game of influence is a private financial empire, so discreet you've probably never even heard of it. Every great fortune needs a place to be managed and grown. Most rich people hire a team of financial advisors. The Waltons? Well, they do things a little differently. They have their own bank. Let me introduce you to Jim Walton, the youngest son. He runs a company called Arvest Bank. This isn't just some small-town bank. Arvest is a regional powerhouse with over $23 billion in assets. And here's the kicker, it's primarily owned by the Walton family. This gives them an incredible advantage. They have their own private financial institution to manage their billions. It allows them to make investments, move money, and plan for the future with a level of control that other families can only dream of. Jim Walton is considered the quietest of the siblings. He's the banker, the numbers guy. But how do they control it all? He's not in the spotlight as much as Alice or Rob, but his role is incredibly important. He's the guardian of the family's financial engine. Through Arvest Bank and other family-owned companies like Walton Enterprises, the family controls about half of all the stock in Walmart. This control generates an unbelievable amount of income. It's estimated that the family receives over $3 billion a year just in dividends. That's money they get simply for owning the stock. It's a river of cash that never stops flowing. This financial fortress allows them to fund all their other ventures. The art museums, the sports teams, and the secret bunkers. It all comes back to the smart and secretive way they manage their money. But all that smart and secretive money management also frees up cash for hobbies so extravagant they make the average millionaire look like a casual collector. When you have billions of dollars, your hobbies can be a little more exciting than collecting stamps. The next generation of Waltons is already making its mark in some very cool and very expensive ways. Take Stuart Walton, Jim's son. He's a pilot and has a passion for flying. So what did he do? He founded his own airplane company. It's called Game Composites, and it doesn't build boring passenger planes. It builds high-performance aerobatic planes. These are the kinds of planes you see doing amazing tricks at air shows. This venture combines his love for flying with the family's business smarts. It's a way for him to build his own legacy separate from the world of Walmart. Meanwhile, his uncle Rob Walton has a passion for things that stay on the ground but go very fast. Rob is a huge collector of rare vintage sports cars. His collection is considered one of the best in the world. He owns cars that are incredibly rare and valuable, like a 1965 Shelby Cobra, one of the most iconic American sports cars ever made. He also has a Ferrari race car from the 1950s that is likely worth millions of dollars all by itself. Experts believe his car collection alone could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These aren't just cars to him, they are rolling pieces of art and history. It's a hobby that reflects a deep appreciation for design engineering and speed. From custom-built airplanes to priceless race cars, the Waltons show that their interests are as diverse as their massive fortune. Yet, for every priceless car and custom airplane, there's a much more complicated story about where all that money actually comes from. Now it's important to understand that a story this big always has more than one side. The Walton family's immense fortune comes from one place: Walmart. And while Walmart provides low prices and jobs for millions of people, it has also faced a lot of criticism over the years. This is a part of the story that can't be ignored. People talk about the Walmart effect. This is the idea that when a giant Walmart store opens in a small town, it can make it very hard for small local businesses to compete. But is there a cost to those low prices? The small mom-and-pop stores that have been around for generations sometimes have to close down because they can't match Walmart's low prices. This can change the whole feel of a town. There's also been a lot of discussion about the compensation for Walmart employees known as associates. While the family makes billions of dollars in dividends each year, many of their employees work for modest entry-level wages. The difference between the family's wealth and the average worker's pay is enormous. To put it in perspective, the family's annual income from dividends could pay the salaries of over 100,000 Walmart associates. This contrast is at the heart of the Walton family's complex legacy. They are praised for their business genius and for providing affordable goods to millions. But they are also criticized for the impact their business has had on workers and small communities. At the end of the day, it's a reminder that behind the incredible numbers and the luxurious lifestyle, there is a complicated story about how that wealth was created. So, how does a family with such a complicated legacy shape its public image? They do it with a checkbook so large it can fund entire movements. With great wealth comes great responsibility. Or so the saying goes. The Waltons are actually some of the biggest philanthropists in the country. They give away huge amounts of money through their charity organization, the Walton Family Foundation. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. So where does all that money go? A lot of it goes to education. The family is a huge supporter of charter schools. They've given over $250 million to help build facilities for these schools. They also gave a massive grant of $194.7 million to the University of Arkansas. They are also very interested in environmental conservation, donating millions to protect rivers and oceans. On the surface, this is incredibly generous. They are using their fortune to support causes they believe in, and without a doubt, their donations have made a big difference in many areas. However, some people look at this philanthropy with a critical eye. They point out that these charitable donations can also be a very smart financial strategy. The family has reportedly used complex financial tools, sometimes called trusts, to manage their wealth. These strategies can help preserve their fortune for future generations while also supporting their charitable goals. It raises a fascinating question. Is their giving purely about helping others, or is it also a way to maintain their influence and manage their financial empire? The truth is, it's probably a little bit of both. It's another layer in the incredibly complex story of America's richest family. And with the family's third generation now stepping into the spotlight, the next chapter of that complex story is just beginning to be written. The Walton story started with one man and his pickup truck. It has since grown into a global dynasty managed by his children and now his grandchildren. The third generation of Waltons, like Stuart with his airplane company, are starting to step into the spotlight. They grew up with a level of wealth that their grandfather Sam could have never imagined. What will they do with this incredible inheritance? Will they continue to grow the Walmart empire? Will they focus on philanthropy and reshape American culture through art and education? Or will they forge entirely new paths for themselves? The family has worked hard to keep their private lives very private. They don't give a lot of interviews. They don't show off their wealth in a flashy way. They seem to follow Sam Walton's old rule of staying humble, even when you're on top of the world. But as the world changes, the new generation of Waltons will have to face new challenges. They will be the ones to decide what the Walton name means in the 21st century. One thing is for sure, the story is far from over. The foundation that Sam Walton built is so vast and powerful that his family's influence will be felt for generations to come. They are a true American dynasty, a family whose story is woven into the very fabric of the country. And as their fortune continues to grow, who knows what unbelievable things they will do next. The world will be watching. If you made it this far, you're clearly as fascinated as we are. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you're the first to know when we explore another incredible story.